Hey, it's Mr. Johns. Welcome to this episode of Designing in 3D with Sketchup. So we are going to take a look at how to make a very basic house. And you, of course, can take off and do so much more than this. But for those of you who are just starting out with SketchUp for the very first time, there's a few tips and tricks you may not be familiar with. And so let's go ahead and start with just a rectangle. And I don't really need to measure it necessarily. I can kind of see how big the guy is, Ty there. And, I can make a house accordingly. That's a very small house. And again, I'm going to use the mouse wheel to rotate mostly, and then the pan tool to keep my project centered. Now, if I go this way, it's not so bad. That's not such a small looking house after all. And then, I don't even really need to measure the height. In this case, this is kind of a practice. If we were designing a real house, yes, you would have to have exact measurements. But, that kind of looks like if he's 6 feet tall, that looks like, that would be about a 9 or 10 foot roof, and that would work just fine. So let's just make kind of a cute little house. Now, if you want a hollow house, we'll call it hollow, right? You want to be able to walk into it, right? There are multiple ways to make the walls. You could really get serious about it and build the walls, and some of my students have done that before. Build the walls out of 2x4s, lock them as a group, rotate them up, and it looks exactly, paint them wood texture, and it looks like a true framed wood wall. Very cool. But this tutorial is not about that. We do want to find the tool. Let me remind myself where it's at here. There it is. So under the push-pull tool, the bottom one is called offset. So choose that, and we're going to go to the top of this three-dimensional rectangle and just click. Now, the offset tool is very handy if you want to make picture frames, window frames, door molding, any kind of trim. If you're trying to make a sign, you can make the border so easy, like just in seconds. So in this case, we want to make it kind of wall thickness. And again, if we were making a real house and this was a little more advanced assignment or tutorial, we would definitely measure those wall thicknesses so that they were accurate, real. But let's go ahead and just kind of make it, look like sort of a 2x4 or a 2x6 perhaps, okay? That works. Now we have the ability to go back to the push-pull tool and simply push this down. And we don't necessarily need to make it disappear. Now my finger is still on the mouse button. I have not let go, so I have not just made a permanent decision yet. But you notice that as I push this down, if it disappears, that means I went too far. It went into the floor, into the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull it up enough that I can see it. So that basically gives me a floor inside the house, which is very cool. So all of a sudden I have this hollow space. And if I were to put a doorway, let's say on this side, it's really just a rectangle. So start on the ground, go up, and again, normally you would measure, but for this practice, we're just going to try to make this look like about the size of a door, right? And most of my students, if not all of my students, know how to do this by just rolling the push-pull button over the door and hold down the left mouse button and just put your mouse on the edge of the inside of the wall and let go. And you have hey, I tell my students that it always works, and it didn't. Let's try that again. Edge, let go. Oh, interesting. So I'm left with the skin, and I have a feeling it's because of that floor that kind of gets in the way, but I have a feeling that if I just were to select, just the skin that was left over and then hit the delete key, wow, that's just weird. Is that see-through or not? Yeah, okay, yes it is. That almost made me panic because that should definitely always work. Sometimes you get a little skin left over, and I think it's because for some reason I had the height of the floor there. Now it is a little bit weird to trip over the floor as you come in, and so maybe I really don't want that floor that high. Um, and in reality, would just be a small thickness of a sheet of plywood, and that's about it. So, and underneath of it would be trusses and support pieces, but that is perfectly fine. You would also probably have a little trim piece. Guess what? I can make that happen just by pulling that out. So, do I feel better now? Maybe. So yeah, because I would have some stair steps here, and those stairs would come right up to that, and so there would not be a bump or something to trip over. So, all right. So there's my door opening. It's the same thing for window openings exactly. Being up off the ground, however, I am pretty sure that we won't have that little problem with the skin. Should just be able to click, let go, and we'll be see through. Yep. So super easy, right? Definitely super easy. And inside, you can get as fancy as you want. You can add walls. And how do you add a wall? Well, there's a couple options. One is to put a rectangle up vertical here. Make sure it's blue. It's not blue. We want it to be red's fine. Let's go ahead and go. No, red's not fine. We need blue. Right? We need blue. So let's get it to be snap in place at blue. Let's see. Let me just think this through a little bit. Blue is straight up and down. So we need that wall to be blue, not red. So not loving that. Let me see why it's doing that. Let me go back to pencil and see if I can get a blue line easier. Okay, yeah. So that worked. And let's say another blue line right next to it about the thickness of the outside wall. Now I have a shape. Anytime SketchUp knows there's a shape, you are able to move it and manipulate it. So here's one way to make a wall. And if you don't want it to go all the way across, like it's just a division between the dining room and living room, for example, you could just stop there. If you wanted it to be a half wall and you want, oh, it's tied together. Sorry. So because it's now tied together, how do you fix that, Mr. Johns? Well, you would go in and notice it's a little bit skinnier so they should be about the same. I mean, exterior walls can be thicker than interior walls, so it's not the end of the world, but you have to make this wall a separate entity. So, where to go? Zoom in. So, okay, I'm gonna use my secret find my stuff button, which basically just zooms me back out. What I was trying to do was go to the bottom of the wall and draw a line because I'm not sure it's separate yet. But if I'm able to, yes, it is. Okay. So I had to make this wall separate from these walls. So just my whole point was you could make a half wall if you so choose. And if you don't like those lines, you can simply delete them and you end up with this half wall. That's weird though, I liked it better the way it was before. So we're going to go ahead and just pull that thing back up. Now here's a tip from Mr. Johns. Some of you are like, well, wait a minute. How do I get the wall to stop exactly at the top? Well, SketchUp is really smart. I mean, it kind of knows you're trying to do that, so it kind of stops there anyway. But if it doesn't, you can just roll your mouse right to the edge, and even the corners even better. And sometimes I zoom in and I just snap it. Like right here's an example. Let's say I push it too high, but I want it to stop right on the same height. Just put it right on the corner. So corner to corner, and it snaps together with that green dot. And that's how you do that. So, all right. So interior stuff, that's, pretty easy. It's walls, it's furniture, it's painting, wallpaper, stuff like that. So let's get to the more complicated thing, and that's the roof. So at least in Idaho, we have pitched roofs because we have weather. If you were in dry, deserty Arizona, New Mexico, things like that, you could probably get away with a flat roof. But here with so much snow in probably all of Idaho, that's not the way to go. So let me just show you a quick way to make a basic roof. So we're going to use the pencil tool. We're going to roll our mouse over this wall. When it turns into a blue dot, bink, it says, hey, this is the midpoint. You don't even have to measure. Like SketchUp helps you out. So it's like, here's the middle of that wall. Let's go ahead and just go straight up. You can go crazy high, but that looks ridiculous. We're talking about like the pitch of a roof, right? So just the pitch, enough. And this architecturally, legally, there are rules to how steep the pitches have to be. That's not our concern in this class. So we're just going to go up a little ways and click to place it. So all we have is a line here. But let's go ahead and while we're still attached to that, let's go ahead and go down to the outside corner, and then it makes a shape, right? Anytime in SketchUp you finish a shape, you close it in, it turns solid, right? White is the outside, gray is the inside. And this house is a great example. Notice that the walls on the inside are kind of a gray color, and the outside is white. So I have really two triangles, but I don't want two triangles. I really just want one triangle. So let's go ahead and delete that line. That makes it into one triangle. Now rotate around so you see the inside of that triangle, and you also need to see the end of the building over here as well. And I'm going to simply grab the push-pull tool and drag it, and I'm going to click on the corner. Now notice how it wanted to keep going, or it wanted to stop short. But this is that trick I'm telling you about. You just put your mouse right there on the corner, and it even tells you, hey, this is the end point. That's what that says there. You can't hardly see it, but let go. So very cool. You have a pitched roof that, looks, oh, what's going on over here? So we have a hollow gable end. That's called the gable end of the roof. We should be able to fill that in. And if this ever happens to you in SketchUp, just fill it in. Just make it a shape again. So I'm just going to draw that. And you can usually get away with deleting that line again. And there we go. So we have a pretty decent looking roof. Notice that, here's my example, the outside is white, and remember I pulled the inside all the way across. This gable end is still the inside of that triangle. I just happened to pull it. So not that it matters, we could paint this, but if we were to 3D print this, it wouldn't work. So out of habit, I like to select it, right click, and tell it to reverse faces. And it's just going to reverse the face of what I've selected, which is that gable end, and it turns it white. Yay! So that's a good thing, and you could do it. Looks like maybe the top needs to be done too. Everything really should be white on the outside. That's just good practice for 3D design. So my whole house on the outside is white. All right, now you want to get a little fancier. Let me show you that trick about that offset tool with the window. So let's go ahead and let's see if this even works. This is under the push-pull tool, offset. We want to, can we even select that? That's just a hole now. What I'm thinking I should have done, I can't really undo. It's too many steps back. I'm going to make another window, so it's a rectangle, and I'll show you how I should have done it. So here's a window. And before I pushed it and made it an opening, I'm going to go to the offset tool and click. No. I have to, okay. All right, Mr. Johns. Show us that you know what you're talking about. Let's highlight it first and then go to the offset tool. And now click on the inside. You have to make sure you select what you want to work with. So, okay, notice I can make my window molding kind of any shape you want. I mean, typically it's the same. You don't want to make it look like that. That looks dumb. I mean, you could. It's your window. Okay, who am I to tell you? But typically a window is going to have like trim that's like 3 inches thick all the way around. So here's what's cool. Here's what I wanted to show you. We wanted to grab the push-pull tool. Molding usually is three-dimensional, so we want this to kind of pop out. How cool is that, right? And then what really makes this shine is if we paint the trim. I mean, it could be white, right? I mean, it definitely could be white. But I'm going to go to wood and just kind of give it a cool wood trim. And you do have to rotate around because it's now 3D. So there's all kinds of sides and parts. Don't forget inside the molding. Don't forget the bottom right there and over there. So that is the entire window frame. And then if I want to paint the glass, just go to glass and choose, you know, a color of glass. I'm going to choose a color of glass I can see through. So maybe there's nothing in there. Oh, I haven't pushed it. I haven't pushed it yet. No wonder. Okay, undo, undo. All right, Mr. Johns. Wow, I'm losing it. All right, so I need to push it first. So we have to make, yeah, it's too thick, right? So how would I do this? I'm going to try to, no, I don't want to push that. I need to make sure I highlight that. I wonder if I could delete it. Let's see what that did on the inside. No, I can't. That does not work. Oh, wait. No, don't like what that did at all. Let's undo that. We do need to, and really, this is definitely a little harder because I can't see the inside of the wall. But if I cheat, because I already made this hole, I should be able to push that and put my mouse, oh, come on now, on the edge. Why is it not letting me show? Oh, wow. Okay. I've got issues, people. All I was trying to do was paint this glass. Okay, it's working. Wait, let's check the inside. Oh, no, 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 no. The whole wall that is messed up. All right, so my advice. Bing, 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 bing. Okay, my advice is to do the windows before you do the roof. There's ways to do this, but the easiest way, all right, is to, I really should just delete that and do the whole thing right. I mean, as long as we're doing it, let's do it. So we got a window. Okay. All right, we got you. So we're going to select the window. We're going to go to the offset tool. We're going to click. We're going to make some molding. Beak. We're going to go to push pull tool again, and we're going to pull that out. Make sure you're pulling out the right thing. There we go. Okay, right there. And this is also where I painted it, which I guess I have to do again. Sorry about this, but do it right or don't do it at all. And I hope, now I hope I can make it do what I was thinking about having it do. All right, so that's pretty cool molding, but on the inside, what is going on? Like, I need to select that part of the window, and I need to be able to see the inside of the wall, push and put my mouse there and let go. That gives me a hole in the wall on both sides, all right? That's a pretty thick wall, by the way, but it's okay. So now it worked. That's what I wanted it to do. So how would one, where would the glass be? Would the glass be on the inside or the outside? Or, you know, it doesn't really matter here. But if I were to draw a line from here to here, it'll fill that back in, but it's basically making like a skin, right? Like a thin skin shape. And I don't want that diagonal line, so I'm going to delete that. Now I'm going to go to glass. Cross your fingers, people. And paint it glass. Yes, that's what let's look at the inside. So now I have a window frame with wood, and I have a thin sheet of glass. I assume I can also probably make this thicker if I pull the glass in. I could actually fill the whole window. Look at that. How cool is that? So now I have this thick insulated window that I can see through. That's what makes it cool, is you can see through it. All right, so that's how you make a window. Then you do the roof. All right, man, I have to do that again too. So it's easy though. Watch this. Midpoint. It's always good to have to do things twice, actually. I think you do it better the second time around. So, all right, bink. Make sure you go to the outside of the wall, and then we're going to delete the eraser, and then make sure that little circle under the eraser is on the thing you want to delete. Rotate around, be able to see the other side of the building, push pull tool, grab that triangle, go to the corner, stop. All right, gonna make sure see if it went hollow again. It did, but we know how to fix that. That is a vertical pencil line from the peak down. Make sure it's blue. Peak, and go back. You like my sound effects? Everything makes sounds in my world. And delete that. So what else did we have to do? We had to go to the pointer, highlight stuff, and right-click reverse face, just to make sure everything is white like it should be in the 3D world on the outside of things. Okay, all right, cool. So the last thing I want to show you is how to make this not look so boxy, like just like a mobile home. Maybe even mobile homes have nicer roof than this, so I shouldn't say that. But nothing overhangs. I mean, if rain poured down, the rain would just run down that wall. So really, the roof should hang over. But we're going to, which we could have done just by drawing these lines out wider. But it looks nice if you highlight the gable end. Now you know that term. Gable is the triangle end of a roof, and use the offset tool and make. Oh, come on now! Don't prove me wrong. There we go. It was okay. I said to move my mouse in the right way. This is going to make. It's the same thing as the window trim, but it's going to give it just a little bit of character. We want to push that inside. Oh, wrong. We want to push the inside. There we go. Careful what you have highlighted. Push the inside in. That's maybe more than you would normally have, but it's just a little bit of detail. So you've got kind of a recessed gable end. You could also, yes, push this out and get a little bit of hangover there. Overhang, I guess, is the better term than hangover. Overhang. Maybe not perfect, maybe not how you would do it, but just showing you a little bit of a way to make a little bit of detail on the gable ends. And so I would do that to both. And then, hey, what about if you wanted like a pop-out window? It's been a long time since I've done this, so let's see if I remember. I am thinking pencil tool, go green, which means it's parallel to the side of the roof. Find the midpoint, go up. And this is critical here that you go up. And sometimes I rotate my view so I can make sure I'm going blue. And basically I'm making a miniature roof. I mean, this should look exactly like what I just did. I'm going to then erase that vertical line, rotate around, and I'm going to pull that right into the roof until it disappears. Oh, I went too far. That's interesting. It's not exactly how I had envisioned that. What I should have done is started, let's see if I can get lucky and move it. Whoop. Oh, no. It shouldn't go over the top of the roof. So Mr. Johns would like to be a little more professional on this. So what I'm going to do is pencil tool. I'm going to start down lower, green, find the midpoint, blue. Let's be careful here. Midpoint. Make sure it's the midpoint. Go blue. There we go. Blue. Maybe I won't go so high. And then triangle. Rotate. Make sure I'm doing it right. Triangle. Delete the there we go, the line, and then push pull tool, and then pull this. It should disappear into the roof. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So, and then this should be the offset tool right there, which allows you to make another one of those little recessed areas. Push pull tool. I'm going to push that in just a little bit. It gives it some character, right? A little bit of detail. And if I were to this is as far as I'm going to go and let you guys get going on your own. But if I were to, let's see, let's go to roofing. Roofing. It actually has real roofing. Let's go with these shingles. That's kind of what we use locally, and gives it, real shingles. And then it has there's a category called siding. Where is it? Let's see, roofing, brick cladding and siding, right there. So depending on the style of the the house, you can give it some siding. The gable ends could be something different, or you could just go all the way up like that. Oh, it looks like I forgot one side on the roofing. So let's go back to roofing and that and etc. So those are a couple tips just to kind of get you started. But there's so much you can do with walkways and vegetation and bushes and swimming pools, and not to mention downloading all the special things that other people have made, other experts have made, that would really give your house some wow factor. But just wanted to show you mainly some of the basics, and those are very much the basics. So hopefully you have fun with that. Make your own house, make it awesome, and I will see you soon. For now, Mr. Johns out.